I'll start everything.
Yep, we're good to go.
Okay, it is 1 minute after 4 on June 28th. All days of order, we'll start with roll call. Dave. Epson, Robert. Here. Brent. Here. Carol, I didn't see. John, I do not see. Norm, I'm present. Bill. Bill. Christine, I don't see Christine. Todd. Here. Pete. Here. And Tracy. Here. Okay. Our first item is approval of the minutes from May 31st. I approve. Pete. We vote on that, roll call? Aye. Okay, motion carries. Okay, so we have any meeting or committee, excuse me, any meetings, questions for the meeting? If you're eventually,
None were submitted to us prior to the meeting.
okay. So I guess that takes us to the first thing we're gonna get on the agenda is the first newsletter. Assuming everybody's had a chance to read this over since Tim sent it out.
Yeah, so we had looked kind of at a format at our last meeting. And the consensus that you guys had, which you gave to me, was you wanted more visual, more pictures. So I've kind of bumped it up picture wise. Taking in mind, this would be our typical newsletters, ledger size. So, it prints on this for the meeting packet size, but you'd essentially be looking at half size picture or half page pictures on each page.
Okay.
So I've been looking through the 100 or so pictures I've taken over the years of the drawdown. I've got one here of the boat launch at Riviera. Got a picture here on the back of what that main south part of the lake looks like. That cruddy looking one is Essex Park. Got a nice overhead from Mr. Peavy's drone of the river area. But wanted to know if this was more in line with what you wanted to see when it goes out. On your table, I printed off a schedule. And, we're 6 weeks out. We're the time where, I've got it planned, if you guys are agreeable to the schedule, that our first newsletter would likely drop around Thursday, the 13th. The second one, the 24th, and then do another mailing, just postcard brochure type thing, reminding people of the election right before that weekend. So the election's on Tuesday, the 8th, so try and get that dropping Thursday, Friday beforehand, so people, remember, get on their schedule, and doing it before the weekend, just out of lack of trust with the post office to deliver it, Saturday. And then we've obviously got the 2 days booked out for community meetings, the 19th and the 27th. You guys had mentioned either doing a Q&A or just an informational booth at the member picnic on the 15th. And what we did last fall is we took a lot of the FAQs and we made them into individual Facebook type posts. So as you look at this schedule here, I would like to fill in as many of those dates as we can with something more than likely coming from the FAQ part that we're going to talk about after we do the newsletter. So have something on social media pretty much every day covering this between, July 5th and election day is what I'd like to target. Up until the 4th, we've got one that was scheduled to post 8 minutes ago, letting people know that we are doing fireworks. The rain this week certainly was helpful. That helpful is an understatement. Really, Monday's rain is what sealed the deal, because even what we had Saturday or Sunday wasn't going to be enough. But so we're good to go on that. So we're going to have post the next couple days about that, and then Friday and Saturdays more kind of logistical stuff like where do you park, where don't you park. We get asked the most annoying question in the world these days is what time are the fireworks? dark. Is the answer we get people. Which, you know, give or take is 10:05, but depending on the cloud cover, but it's like, we're gonna do them at 7 o'clock, guys, you know?
So on your newsletter dates,
Mhm.
are you trying to send something a little different each time, or maybe add something?
So, yeah, so the first one would be this one that kind of outlines the project. The second one we had talked about just doing the FAQs.
Okay.
Just list them all out, try and get some graphics in their photo, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, and all those dates are fluid, so you can move them up, back, forward, whatever as you want.
I don't really see a reason to move them.
Okay.
Like you said, there might be some
Yeah.
new piece of information or something we want to,
Mhm.
put out. I just want to make sure we have the
Yep.
ability to make changes to that
Yep,
within reason.
and as these get produced, that's when we're gonna be adding them onto the dedicated page on our website for the election. Because right now, we just have on there, what you saw, I believe, last time. That page. My internet's going slow here today, folks. Is our IT guy doing something to the internet?
Nope, not right now, so that's why I told you I was gonna wait and do the updates
Alright.
after 5 o'clock, so.
So you saw it last time, but yeah, that's weird. I don't know why it's not- We're having trouble finding that site. Interesting. So right now, this has got that dashboard that we put together, ballot language. We'll be able to put the graphics that we put together for the, you know, how much the millage, you know, runs per parcel, that type of stuff. On there as well, make that a prominent feature. You know, so I think the things that I really need to know from you guys and get the direction on are, you know, what are the main points you want to see hammered home in this? You know, what themes, you know, you think we need to address, and then when it comes to what we're gonna post on social media, you know, big basket type ideas, you've got the FAQs, you've got kind of election info, and then obviously meeting reminder type ones. So if there's another basket of knowledge or information we want to drop, you know, what's gonna go in that basket?
I got my special election letter in the mail today.
Okay.
Go to Sherman.
Yep.
I'm assuming everybody else did today, or if they're gonna mail tomorrow. Is that something we wanna mention on the FAQs? Cause
Yeah, well, there'll definitely be something we hammer in every one, you know, especially that reminder beforehand,
yeah,
right before. And that's really most impactful, obviously, to our Bloomfield half. Sherman Township people are out there anyway.
Right.
Those of us who live in
I
the,
can just see people driving that way.
you know, and we had talked about, getting a couple of like signs made for each of the boat launches. And I had thought, you know, if we're gonna do that, why don't we get a couple more made and put out on election day to remind people that you're voting at Sherman Township today as opposed to Broomfield Township.
I'll ask George to put them on the kiosk. He's got
Yeah.
the parts too, that'd be helpful.
You know, those are some pretty low cost, you know, you know, campaigning type stuff, they're purely informational, so.
Tim?
Yeah.
I was still wondering, a couple people have asked me about non-residents, property owners.
Registered voters,
That's, yeah,
registered voters.
yep.
That's not anything that we have any control over, it's, you know.
So you have, some canned language to all these questions, Tim?
Some, yes, not all.
Is there certain questions you wanna talk about or get more feedback, what you might wanna put on there?
No, I think I was more looking at if there's something that we missed in this list, and this is, Brett put most of this together, so credit goes to him on this. You know, we got, and maybe even kind of breaking these up more graphically into categories, yeah, you know, like election specific stuff, finance specific stuff. You know, that,
I know we had talked about it previously at our meetings, but there was the ability to cancel the bond. If we got projects done, we didn't have to continue this forward. I don't think that's gonna happen. Is that something you wanna put in the newsletter?
Yeah, because- I mean, with a millage, you can obviously not levy the full amount or not levy anything.
Right.
This ballot language is up to 3 mils.
I'm not sure that everybody understands.
Yeah.
That. Gonna happen. I don't see how you're gonna get it done cheaper than what we are trying to ask for personally, but. It might put some people at ease.
I think we could add Pete's question too to the FAQ. It's like, I own property at Lake Isabella, can I vote in this election?
Yeah.
Just something about only registered voters.
Registered.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You'd be registered in Sherman Township or Broomfield Township.
Registered in the village, yep.
Right, you might not, because somebody is a registered voter in Wayne County that. might
Yeah.
live here.
Yeah.
And so that does include that. So they would theoretically be able to vote.
Talking to my neighbor that he wants to version, but obviously he can't. Hold on.
Correct.
So we kind of went through Brett's FAQs. And Tim, you're satisfied you have the answers that we've talked about?
Yeah, and obviously I'll send a draft to everybody before we go, because you've been seeing that throughout the process.
So we had a couple additions to it. Does anybody else have a thought or an idea they would, or they've been asked by a friend or neighbor that we should include in this list?
I think it was covered, the package that I saw, but people still think there's gonna be add-ons, that this isn't just a standalone issue. I think that's an important aspect of.
What was one of the FAQs Brett had, does a village involve a dog park? Well,
Right.
or any other recreational project, which obviously is no. So I think that,
Votes are still. It's still a cloudy issue.
yeah,
With a little gun check. Yeah.
so since that seems to be one of the bigger questions that keeps getting brought up. And we want to include that in the mailer,
Oh, yeah,
and rather than FAQ, just put in the mailer and say this is.
Yeah.
Only for this, it can't be used for anything that we
Correct.
talked about previously.
yeah.
Cause I think that'll stop a lot of, he said, she said.
You know, if there were, 2, 3, 4 of those FAQs that you think are the most important, we can hit them in the first newsletter, we can hit them in the second newsletter, and we can hit it on social media multiple times. Hopefully get that message across. I definitely think that's one of them.
I think your other areas, other question is always the target areas keeps coming. up.
Yeah.
We talked about the map just being areas that are identified as possible dredging areas. Whether they pass
Mhm.
muster with the Eagle is
Yeah.
beyond our control, but. It might be good to have that spelled out somewhere on one of the newsletters.
I think there's ways to kind of bridge some of these together that should drive that point home. Like one of the ones that is on here is, are there grant monies to do this? Well, with taking the recreation component out, that cuts into that considerably and what funds would theoretically be available. So if you're not doing the rec projects, that takes, the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund out of the equation. So, kind of stacking these in a way so someone can see, oh, because we did this is gonna, hopefully someone that's a linear thinker will be able to follow the thought process.
Right.
And I think, as we look at the community meetings and that kind of stuff, You know, one of the things that I think really, how do I say this? Is something that this committee and this effort should identify with is that, there's a saying from Nelson Mandela. I never lose, I either win or I learn. So last November, we learned. We learned from the people what they wanted, what they would support, what they don't want. And that's why we're here to do this, because it's what we learned from what you told us last November and the following feedback that we got in November and December. And so, you know, I think that's a constructive way to craft the message that, you know, we're moving forward based on the feedback that you as a community have given both organizations.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that we just sat down and said, no, we're gonna keep, you know, hammering the nail until it goes in. You guys said, no, we want you to try again. We want you to try again with these parameters and these conditions. Okay, we'll do it. Another thing I think you guys need to get some clarity on soon is what the picnic situation is gonna be.
We have our board meeting next Wednesday.
That-
That was gonna be one of the things I wanted to have them try to agree upon is what we wanna do, or is it gonna be just a, you know, pick table with somebody rotating, taking turns, asking or answering questions, or is there gonna be George talks about, you know, everybody has their questions, he has an informal meeting within the meeting. And people have a question and answer session there with 3 or 4 of us standing behind them.
Mhm.
So I think we'll have that answer by Wednesday. And then we can either, you know, like do the booth or do the informal meeting right there at the meeting, but a banner or something when you sign in, you know,
Yeah.
whoever's doing it, checking off the members. Let them know, hey, that X, whatever time it is, we're gonna set aside this time to talk about the dredging.
You know, I don't know who from the village end is gonna be there. I will not be, I'm in Muscalong Lake camping, so.
I unfortunately will not be at the picnic, I'm gonna be in the salmon tournament.
Yeah.
So I will be there as well.
And that brings up an important question. If there isn't gonna be a lot of people there, is it more advantageous just to do informational materials as opposed to? Trying to,
As far as I know, I'm the only one from my post
Okay.
that's not going to be there, I don't have any guess as to who from the village would show up.
Mhm.
We could have a large number show up.
Yeah,
Tim won't be there and I will not be there.
Okay. Okay, so we talked about the questions and we've kind of rolled that together in with the additional mailings discussion, those two are kind of blended together. I don't know if there's anything else anybody wants to add about the mailings or dates or thoughts or more pictures, less pictures. Anybody?
I think what he has on there looks good as far as in the newsletter to represent what the lake looks like when it's down, or, you know, some people might not see it, but usually the people that don't see it aren't the ones that are voting for it.
Yeah.
And everyone that's voting for it is pretty much seeing what the situation is, but them are helpful. And I think at our like future meetings, our community meetings, we probably need some of those pictures set up like our map on the
Good idea.
stand so we can see them and everybody can see them. And maybe that's all we really need at the Lake-Poa picnic is a display of what we're looking at.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and then whether or not we gotta sit there and have a meeting and talk about it, I'm not sure that might not be the time. You know, everybody wants to get their door prizes.
Free hot dogs.
In their free hot dog. And so maybe let them look at it at their leisure and see it, and then there's 2 community meetings in the future that they can attend and get their questions answered after they're filled with some information.
Yeah, I just know there's gonna be a lot of people at the meeting, but there's also gonna be a lot of people at the meeting that are not
registered voters.
Yeah.
So it could bog the whole process.
Mhm,
down.
mhm, mhm. And maybe that's where we just let them look at it and let them see the display, and then the community meetings would be the ones where we answer their questions that they have developed over a few days.
So we'll bring that up at the meeting on Wednesday. And see what-
Here it says your meeting is the 12th for your life board.
Yeah, I had that wrong. I thought you were meeting on the 12th, not the 5th.
Is it the?
Yeah.
Thought you were the second Wednesday. But you probably moved it because of the picnic.
100% of that, you might be right. I thought-
Do we need to meet before the picnic if we have to talk or to put something together on the 12th?
If you wanted to put something tentative, I don't particularly think we need to have a set date for the meeting, just
I
because.
mean, for us.
Yeah, I mean, if we, you know, there's a couple of emails back and forth with some ideas we want to do, but I think a lot of that can be done by email.
I mean, the frequently asked questions, I think are looking good.
I mean, Tim's got to have the first newsletter out on the 13th, so.
Yeah.
He can't, you know, you're not gonna be on.
Right.
Well,
Can
but
do
anyway.
anything. I'm talking maybe.
I'll be done with the newsletter, it'll be shipped off.
This week.
Yeah, you know, like. I give it over to Doug at Pleasant Graphics and my involvement's done. You know, he prints, mails it and
Right,
sends me the bill.
whatever we're putting out, like I said, if there's any changes anybody wants to see before that annual meeting. Speak now, I don't want the piece, so it's gotta be done. I think we're off to a good start. We've had quite a number of questions asked. Hopefully we've answered them and people are understanding how we got to where we're at and what the process is. Nothing's coming in online, then question wise.
Nope,
I think if someone
there's only one participant.
At the annual picnic, we didn't have like actual whole conversation about it, we just made our announcement, like, we have newsletters here, if you didn't get one in the mail to look at, and if you have any further questions after you look at the newsletter, you know, just kind of more advertising meetings.
The community meetings, yeah.
Right. So is there a way to get a couple extra newsletters, Tim, that we could maybe have, I don't know, at staff? Well, you should be able to have hard copies of.
Yeah, yeah, they usually bring them over, you know, a day or two after they drop, so.
Okay.
I can definitely let Doug know to get me the extras beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about having when everybody
Yeah.
walks in the door, I'm just saying, if you're gonna have a conversation about it, you can flip through there and point out the pieces of the puzzle you wanna talk about.
You know, I can most, realistically, also, if we're just looking for additional material to have on hand.
I like Todd's idea about having a poster board with pictures on it, that's pretty.
You know, it wouldn't take a ton to turn that dashboard graphic into a brochure. It's already set up basically for a trifold,
Yeah.
you know, so you got one side done, essentially right there. You could do that with the ballot language on the back with a little bit of length, little blurb about the meetings coming up, something like that.
Keeps things homogeneous.
Yeah.
Everybody's, happy with where we're at so far, we can open up to all the comments, we got some members in the audience. You guys are all satisfied?
For those people that are property owners,
Gotta state your name,
David Powell,
just in case I forgot.
for those people that are property owners, but not registered voters in the area, is there an avenue for them to donate to the cause if they choose to do so? Is
We're
there,
gonna donate to the cost of the taxes, or
no, well, that's true, they're still gonna get taxed, so,
Yep.
They're gonna be paying.
yeah,
Both. The tax.
yeah, disregard,
I mean.
yeah,
I don't-
yeah.
I would love to have additional revenue. but-
Is there a chance that there's those people that wanna go above and beyond whatever they're paying in their taxes? For those people that, especially if they're a developer, somebody that's looking at off in their Can they donate more?
That's a question for Tim.
They most certainly could.
Is there like a trust fund or a,
So under
escrow?
Michigan finance laws, we have to set up a separate fund in our accounting system that will just be revenue coming in from the millage to this and expenses going out from the millage for this. So it's not gonna be general fund, it's not gonna be tied to streets or anything like that. It's gonna have its own fund, just like the sheriff's millage that got approved last November. That's its own separate fund in our, reporting with auditing in the state and all that kind of stuff now, because it's a dedicated revenue stream approved by the voters, so. We are, it's a public entity, we are tax exempt. So if someone were looking to do that, they would certainly have the tax benefit of getting involved with us.
Any other questions, Dave?
Maureen McGillivray. I just had a comment about the picnic, and I like the idea of a table of information rather than a meeting, because people come and go. Meeting would have to be at a specific time, and
Yeah.
people might miss that.
Okay. Sure, good question?
I'm with her.
Good answer.
I say it all the time.
So. You have any additional comments from the board? Going forward, or what we want to try to do the next week or two?
What is our requirements gonna be for the community meetings that are scheduled as far as this board?
I don't think everybody's gonna make every time, that's what we have in the morning and noon, maybe you come this morning. You can't make the afternoon, or maybe you can't make that day, I mean, there's obviously.
Or are we gonna schedule some people or try to figure it out? I know the village and like, has meetings before those meetings, and then we right now don't.
I could send out a doodle poll to everybody to see what your availability is, like we did when we signed up to the committee process, see what works and what doesn't.
Okay.
And then just report back, like, this is a group that can meet, for this one and this one, I can probably get that up beforehand, so I include the picnic on there too.
Okay. Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
Good idea. Okay, so. That leaves us with our next meeting date. We talked earlier about, do we wanna have one before the annual picnic? Only 2 weeks from today, really. I don't know that that's really necessary. You guys have a council meeting on the 18th.
Correct.
Do we wanna do a meeting the week of the 17th somehow between newsletters? I mean, if you're gonna drop another newsletter on the 24th, you would almost wanna have that on the 17th, no?
Yeah, I mean, that second newsletter is gonna be exceptionally fast produced once we get the FAQ done, because it's gonna be copy and paste, graphics, change some of that stuff, but. If we're looking to do that second one, really just covering the FAQ, once that's done, this is gonna be very seamless to make that.
Yeah, the only reason I thought it would be if you wanted to change something to the second newsletter, or you wanted to have a brief meeting before you had your community meeting, but I guess you're having a community meeting.
Yeah.
On the 19th, I mean, really, you've got
During
We've got 2
Yeah.
meetings that month. Can we conduct any kind of regular business during those meetings, or no?
You can, I mean, they're gonna be posted as, if you don't have a quorum, you can't, do business, but. Cause you had planned on, since we're always meeting on Wednesdays at 4, that first one, you did a 9 and 4 on a Wednesday to cover that 4 PM slot that you've been doing.
So do you wanna try or see the need for a normal meeting at 4 PM on the 19th? And whoever makes it at 9 AM makes it, and most of us try to make it at 4 PM? I'm
I
kind of
think-
running out of things to.
I think you're good.
to
I
fill.
mean, I really do. I think you can review the newsletters and those type of things through email.
Are we making yard signs for like the boat launches and stuff?
That's on the list, yeah.
Okay.
I don't really see, we're not submitting any additional cores for
Mhm.
testing the Eagle, so nothing to talk
No.
about there. The battle language has been set out, so you can't change that. I mean, basically all we have are the information for these newsletters. So we may really,
And I believe absentee ballots had to actually legally be available yesterday, starting yesterday's 45 days for the election. Yeah, so
We're
we're,
gonna do everything by email up until that point, so our next meeting for the Wednesday after the election.
yeah, if you have, you get your FAQs done, then you can just send it back out, proofread it and see if we want to add or subtract anything, the answers that make sense to for printing.
so yeah, I will, to Todd, I will be here on the 9th still. I've taken the rest of that week and the following week off. Figure after dealing with this for the last 6 weeks, I'm gonna wanna not be here for a few days.
Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, if we're all confident we got everything in line for these newsletters, we're pretty much ready to adjourn until we find out whether or not this goes through. Okay. Any additional comments from the audience?
Paul Cuny, 1056 Clubhouse Drive. I just want to thank you guys. You guys have done a tremendous job. I was told that I should probably attend the meeting to show support. I didn't think I had to, and I still don't think I have to, because you guys are doing a great job, so. Thank you for what you've done. I sure hope we pass it, because you guys have worked your butt off, so, thank you.